cream. we're up to that sounds like the fan base of this bourbon or this whiskey. The fan base of this whiskey would go straight to sweet cream over Chris Stapleton in this
total. Oh, yeah.
Yo, yo, yo. It's fantastic to have you with us for another pour. I'm Ryan O'Leary.
And I'm Mike Zika.
And this, of course, is the Bourbon Playbook.
It's another podcast in the basement.
How we doing this week, Zika?
Good, man. I can't get over how cute that is, that intro every time, man.
Every time. We have been jamming out to some Blues Traveler ever since you got here, man.
Great tune.
Not sure if the copyrights will let us actually play the song, but we've been jamming. We have been jamming because you've brought the Traveler whiskey. Is this a bourbon? Doesn't say bourbon on the bottle, Zika. Are you cheating on the Bourbon Playbook?
Blended whiskey.
Blended whiskey. Okay. Give us a little sneak peek of what we're covering this week. What do we got? What'd you bring into the basement?
This week we're covering Traveler's blended whiskey here. It's a collab between Chris Stapleton and Buffalo Trace. So there's been a lot of hype, a lot of talk about it the past year since it's been launched. And I really just wanted to kind of break it down from your perspective, from someone who's kind of refining their palate to mine, where I just remember, trying to look for this on the shelf where I couldn't find it. It was kind of like Buffalo Trace here in the Midwest. And so I ended up buying a couple secondary, and then we can get into it a little bit more. I can tease it a little bit here, but either going to give it a thumbs up or thumbs down by the end, and it's up to you to decide. I'll leave it. I'll put it in your hands. All right.
I love that. It's yet another bottle I haven't tried. It's only a year old, you said?
Correct. So they've been around since they released these in January of 24.
Okay. So this is a brand new bourbon, and you said there's some hype on it.
A little bit of hype, a little bit of hogwash. Okay. So
so there is some hogwash as well. All right. We'll dive into that. First off, Zika, we did promise last week. We recorded on the day before the NFL draft, and we said we're going to hold our thoughts. It's going to be a joint pour this week, our pours of the week. We've talked about it before, Zika. I do some digital content on the NFL. So I was pretty busy during the NFL draft week, and I barely looked up for my keyboard, if I'm being honest. I was patting the keys, trying to churn out as much as I could, barely looked up. I don't think I missed much. This draft felt like it was a little bit of a downer. I don't know if you got the same vibe.
Yeah, I did a little bit, but I'm curious, what's your take on it?
Well, I mean, the Jaguars trading up early was kind of fun, right? They made that move for Travis Hunter, and that was good, right? And then, but outside of that, I know coming in, the buzz around the draft was, it's a down draft. It's a weaker draft class. I was like, what are people talking about? Seems like there's plenty of good players in this draft, right? You go through it. But I kind of get it now, right? There wasn't a lot of good quarterback buzz specifically. And I'm talking about Cam Ward specifically. Cam Ward, the kid goes number 1 overall to the Tennessee Titans, and he is the forgotten man. Nobody's talking about Cam Ward. Nobody talked about Cam Ward on draft night. He got picked. Then the Jaguars made their trade up for Travis Hunter, and it was immediately the Travis Hunter show, then the Abdul Carter show, and then the Shedeur Sanders. The Shedeur Sanders show went on for days, and we're going to get into that, and Mel Kiper and all that. We'll have thoughts on Shedeur Sanders and that whole thing, which was hilarious. Well, in a way. Mel Kiper made it hilarious, I think. But I don't know. I just feel like it was kind of a down draft when you think about it. There wasn't a lot of stud quarterbacks. There wasn't a lot of stud receivers that we watched dominate. There wasn't these highly touted guys I don't know, Jamar Chase or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some of these guys that were going to go top 5. And I mean, the top guy was Ted McMillan, who went to the Carolina Panthers. I'm sure casual football fans have no idea who Ted McMillan is.
Right? You don't know who Ted McMillan is?
Ted McMillan. Do you know who do you play for?
Wide receiver for
Arizona. Who cares about Arizona football?
The Arizonas.
And poor Cam Ward and poor fans of the U out there, but who watches Miami, Florida football? You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Got to say Miami, Florida, because there's 2 Miamis. There's a Miami, Ohio. So you got to say Miami, Florida.
Right. Respect.
But not as much quarterback buzz, not as much wide receiver buzz. Tons of running back buzz, right? There's a lot of running backs in this draft, but who cares? A lot of guards, your Minnesota Vikings got a guard, right? But like it was guards and running backs. It wasn't the sexy draft, and I definitely felt that. I don't know if you felt it, but I definitely felt that during the weekend.
And also like the last year, the buzz leading up to it, I just feel like there was so much drama. It was just packed with drama. And this year, you just weren't sitting on the edge of your seat waiting for that team to, oh wait, JJ McCarthy's still available. Oh wait,
who's coming up to get Michael Penix? There was like all these different quarterbacks, and especially in the top, few picks, Drake May, Caleb Williams, like Jaden Daniels, the quarterbacks made last year must-see TV. It was like
Truly.
theater. And after the second pick, after the Jaguars went up and got Travis Hunter, it was pretty much chalk, right? Like the picks kind of fell where you thought they were. Like even the Browns, they moved back for number 2, and then they just picked Mason Graham. Like they didn't even do anything fun. Like they didn't even take Ashton Genty or something, number 5. They just took the short arm defensive tackle from Michigan there, Mason Graham. So yeah, I just thought this draft lacked buzz overall, except Zika, for our guy Mel Kiper.
I think it's disgusting. I don't understand what the heck's going on with this. 5th player on my board. It's never happened before in 47 years where a player.
In 47 years, Mel Kiper.
40? How old is this guy?
Mel Kiper, I know. Mel Kiper's actually, he's one of the reasons why the draft is such a big deal now. The fact that it's like must-see TV and it's an event. It's because of guys like Mel Kiper. So you got to give him credit for that. It's why his face is still all over your TV screen when you're trying to watch the draft.
Yeah, this dude's been like flying the wall since like the 70s.
I mean, Shedeur Sanders is a potential first-round pick. He's getting all this buzz. Will he go number 3 to the Giants right there? Will he go number 2 to the Cleveland Browns? It kind of came out before the draft. We knew that wasn't going to happen, but like maybe one of these teams will come up in the, back into the Browns had some other picks in the second round. Maybe they'll trade back up into day 1, get Shedeur Sanders in the first round. Poor Mel Kiper has Shedeur as his best available guy for like 48 hours straight. Like his ticker just got Shedeur for days until he finally gets picked in the 5th round.
I don't see, outside of not being have the rocket arm and the 4.6 speed and the big frame, the 6'3", 230-pound frame, what is he lacking? Somebody's going to have to explain that one to me. 4th round, Kirk Cousins went. 4th round, Dak Prescott went. Worked out pretty good for them. It's just that Shedeur was projected a lot higher than they were. That's why we're having this discussion.
Poor Mel. He had a meltdown on national TV, and that, unfortunately, was the most entertaining part of the draft, I thought, was Mel Kiper and Shedeur Sanders.
I think it's disgusting.
Nobody's talking about Cam Ward. I feel for that kid. Like everyone's still talking about Shedeur a week later about the prank calls and stuff. I have a take on the prank callers as well. I have a message for you prank callers.
I'm waiting for that. That was hilarious.
That
was probably the highlight for me.
People are still talking about Shedeur and like who's the 5th quarterback on the Browns right now, and no one's talking about Cam Ward. I just feel it's just like the upside down this year. It's just such a weird draft. Folks are saying it was a down draft, and I got to agree with them now. I kind of know what people are saying when they said this is a weak draft class. It's not great.
I think Mel Kiper's downfall, to be honest, was simply just not taking time to play some Catan with Mr. Sanders. Clearly, he made a pretty strong impression.
He loves the Sanders.
Yeah, he negotiated clearly way too many resources with a lot of these head coaches and GMs around the league. So kudos to him. Plus, I mean, let's be honest, your dad's Dion, one of the most cocky, confident guys, right? But I think more cocky than confident, and kind of look where that led you, right? And not your best move.
And that's why the meltdown by Kiper is so hilarious, because hey Mel, maybe Shedeur screwed it up. Maybe he actually screwed up you said it yourself. He doesn't have the rocket arm. He's not the big frame. Like he doesn't do anything like extraordinarily well besides like complete short passes really well. Like that was what he was really good at Colorado. Like he set records for his accuracy, but a lot of it was short passes to Travis Hunter. Like let's just be honest.
I think it's disgusting.
Maybe he fucked it up. Like maybe he didn't take it seriously enough in the pre-draft process and thought he was a shoo-in to be the number 1 overall pick, and maybe that's why he went to the 5th round. Maybe he turned off enough people in the league that's why it happened. Maybe it's not like an outrage, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's not something to like pound your fist on the table for over 3 straight days, which is what happened.
Yeah, and I think a couple things come to mind for me with Shedeur is, number one, when I'm thinking collegiate football versus the pros, how much a quarterback affects the entire team. Like in college, you can get away with being cocky, and just like the team environment in general is a lot more like open and fun and, like less work, more play at times. I think a lot of GMs or head coaches around the league are probably seeing that, and they're like, no, this is a job. You're not taking this serious, buddy. You're a little boy amongst men, and you can't be bringing that same attitude that you brought in college at the professional level, because this is a full-time job, and I don't think you understand this, son.
Well, Brennan, you certainly have had a lot of jobs.
I'm a bit of a spark plug and human resources lady.
It's Pam.
I'm sorry. Well, Pan.
No, my name is Pam.
Are you saying Pan or Pam?
I'm saying Pam. Yeah, I'm sorry. Who is this gentleman sitting behind you?
Hello, Ms. Lady. I'm Dale. I'm Brennan's stepbrother, and I think I might be able to help with the Pan-Pam dilemma.
Yeah, that'd be great.
The other thing that came to mind, too, is how embarrassed Shedeur must feel. Just not only from the prank call. Yes, that was hilarious, right? Like, and I'd be interested in your take on this, and I'll ask you in a second. But the fact that they retired his jersey, and then he goes on to be a 5th-round draft pick, dude, that's embarrassing.
That's got to be the first time that's happened. That your jersey is retired before you're even drafted, and then you go in the 5th round.
and you're telling me he's better than Cordell Stewart, who's another, like, I mean, you name a position on offense, and that dude played every position. I think it was for the Steelers back in the day. Just a phenomenal athlete, right? And that guy's jersey isn't retired. You know what I mean? So it's like, put things in perspective. Like, what are we doing here, guys? So
yeah.
All that being said, talk to me. What's up with this? This cocky Colin.
Well, it wasn't just Shedeur. It was Ashton Genty. It was Mason Graham. It was Tyler Warren. There's a bunch of players that got prank called.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. This has become a thing because, the NFL has made, the NFL draft has become one of the biggest sporting events on the calendar, right? It's a big deal. It's all over TV. It's all over the social media. And these reactions of the kids getting the call is a big thing on social, right? Like we're trying to record these, and the prank calls have happened every year. It just became more mainstream and more publicized. And with Jeff Albrecht's kid, the defensive coordinator for the Falcons, who prank called Shedeur, with Shedeur's like social media team like around him, like filming the whole thing.
His
like
brother.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. You know, Mr. I think it's Jax Albrecht, and the rest of you prank callers. First of all, you flaming tool bags. You guys are tool bags for doing that. Okay. Secondly, that was kind of funny. that was good. Cheers to you guys. That was actually kind of hilarious. Like, especially you guys, again, you tools that put yourselves on social media pranking the players, which kids actually did. Like, they have actual videos of themselves prank calling, prospects in the moment and pretending they're GMs and posting their own freaking face on social media. You idiots. Like, what do you think's going to happen? But yeah, the outrage over the prank calls is ridiculous. Like, I think everyone's going to survive. I think fining the defensive coordinator for the Falcons $100,000 for his kid pranking.
Is that what happened?
So Jeff Albrecht, his son,
I've seen the video.
His son allegedly got the number off an iPad that was open and called Shedeur Sanders, pretending to be Mickey Loomis, the Saints GM. And Jeff Albrecht, the defensive coordinator from the Falcons, got fined $100,000. And the team got penalized like $250,000 or something.
No way.
Oh, the NFL dropped down serious penalties for prank calls. We've got to, as a society, we got to step back and be like, yo, let's not go overboard here. Yeah, I get it. This is a big deal. We're talking about 21, 22-year-old kids in a lot of these instances. They're about to realize their NFL dreams, but they still realize their NFL dreams. Okay. They're still in the NFL. Shedeur's still in the NFL. The prank call had nothing to do with him going in the 5th round.
I think it's disgusting.
Yeah. Shame on you, prank callers. You guys are absolute ridiculous tool bags. That was also kind of funny. It was also a little funny.
Agreed. I mean, very Bush League for sure.
Yeah.
And these kids, emotionally, they're probably all over the board. They've been waiting for this day for 21 years, like you said. Just, I couldn't imagine what they're going through to have something like that happen. So humiliating.
Just phone ringing off the hook. Is it a real call? Is it not? This is how it was. And the prank calls, unfortunately, are kind of the story. because the draft was so fucking boring. There's not enough storylines coming out of the draft that we got to talk about prank calls and Shador dropping 5 rounds further than we expected. You know what I mean? So
we talking about prank calls here, bro.
Yeah.
We're talking about practice, man.
And also, shame on Goodell. How are you not sending out like the top, I don't know, 100 guys burner phones? You know what I like, or like something.
Shador literally said, "This is a new phone. I only distributed this to the NFL. This is a brand new phone. I'd never used it before."
Oh, that's even better.
And he's still getting prank called. So
Sucker.
like, look out for 2026. The prank calls are going to be off the hook. Like, people are just gonna. This has become a thing, and it's again kind of hilarious. So we'll dedicate this week's pour to the NFL draft, to Shador Sanders, and of course, our guy Mel Kiper Jr.
What is he lacking? Somebody's going to have to explain that one to me.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
And a quick patron shout out. Pouring went out with gratitude for Auntie G. Appreciate you supporting and fueling the Brown Juice Fund. Thanks, G.
Absolutely. Donations always accepted for the Bourbon Fund. Again, tbplaybook.com. Scroll down to the bottom. Leave us a donation if you can. If you can't, we still appreciate the hell out of you. And subscribing, leaving a review, or just sharing the pod with a friend is another great way to support us. Thanks, Auntie G.
Thanks, G.
All right, Zika, enough teasing. What do you got to say about today's Bourbon of the Week? Traveler Whiskey Blend number 40 from our country music friend, Chris Stapleton in Buffalo Trace. Go ahead.
So the MSRP around $40, 40 bones. Proof, we're looking at about 90 proof. So it should be a fairly easy sipper. So probably no spicy meatballs this week, but we'll see.
All right, we can put that one on ice.
Absolutely. And this is a blended whiskey, so it's not a bourbon, not a rye, but it's a blend. So diving into some of the bragging rights and the awards. So there's a lot of initial skepticism with Traveler's Whiskey as it had many significant wins kind of across the board, right? When it jumped into the spirits game here in 2024. It actually secured 15 medals from various competitions.
So it just hit the ground running.
Absolutely. So again, 15 medals.
Wow.
From global competitions in the first year of release. Now you know why, as soon as I saw this hit the shelf, again, Chris Stapleton, don't care, but I get it. Celebrity whiskey. But Buffalo Trace, you're putting your name on the line here. You've got some great, there's not one Buffalo Trace product per se outside of their vodka, which I actually haven't tried, so I can't judge it. Everything's just dynamite. You know what I mean? Like release after release. So
solid across the board.
For me, I'm like, this has got to be something. This is good. This is different. It's a blend. It's not necessarily bourbon, but they're going to hit on all cylinders.
They're branching out. Yeah.
And again, the collaboration with Chris Stapleton, he put his name on it. It's got to mean something for him. And it wins 15 medals globally. This has got to be like a dynamite whiskey, right? And the price point's $40. Like, I'm about to stock my shelf with this.
You're sprinting to the aisle.
Yeah, this is clearly a daily sipper, right? Like, this is it. This is my new go-to. Mm-hmm. It's like the Weller or the Buffalo Trace that I can actually find, hopefully, in the future.
Yeah.
So some of the notable accolades: double platinum at the 2024 Ascot Awards, Master Medal at the American Whiskey Awards, Best in Class Gold at the 2024 Whiskeys of the World competition, double gold in the 2024 TAG Global Spirits Awards, gold medal at the 2024 Spirits Business American Whiskey Masters, silver medals at several competitions, including San Francisco World Spirits Competition, International Wine Spirits Competition. The list goes on. I don't want to bore you, but it's 15 medals in general in 1 year.
It's interesting that San Francisco said, we're going to give you a medal, but it's not gold. You know what I mean? Like they kind of were one of the first to like take it a step back, but they still gave it its flowers.
They're kind of like, oh, that's all you're donating this year?
Yeah,
well, you got a second place finish then, buddy.
Yeah, I'd love to know what goes on there to get those awards.
Honestly, so that's kind of what makes me a little skeptic now moving forward of some of these competitions, right?
That's a lot of medals.
A lot of medals.
For a whiskey that had a lot of star power coming out, but only a 90 proof. Like, I'm interested to dive into this.
So bourbon story time. Here is kind of the hook of what I'm thinking. So picture this. The year is 2024. A music studio in Nashville and a blending lab in Kentucky walk into a bar. The story is how Chris Stapleton and Buffalo Trace Distillery become one in the same and create this Traveler whiskey. So let's rewind the clocks. The origin story behind this is 2013. So while recording Chris Stapleton's solo album, Traveler, he was introduced to E.H. Taylor bourbon, which is also made by Buffalo Trace, which we've also covered.
Fantastic pour.
Fantastic pour. And he was introduced to this pour by his audio engineer, Vance Powell, and it quickly became his, daily dram, right?
So he's in there making country music in the studio, drinking bourbon.
What else do you do as a country singer?
I love Chris Stapleton already.
So right off the bat, there's this like mutual respect, right? For obviously E.H. Taylor and Buffalo Trace, but like a fine whiskey. So Stapleton then developed this strong appreciation for Buffalo Trace products, specifically E.H. Taylor, which kind of laid that foundation for this future collaboration. It kind of sparked the interest. So that's when, fast forwarding to 2023, Stapleton partnered with Buffalo Trace master distiller Harlan Wheatley. So they sampled over 50 different blends before they landed on blend number 40, hence why the name of this is Traveler Whiskey, and then below it says blend number 40. So that was the final Traveler Whiskey recipe. So the name Traveler, it's basically a nod to Stapleton's breakout album, which was kind of like a twist of fate, right? So Buffalo Trace already owned the trademark and then offered it up to him to honor his collaboration. So it kind of worked out for both parties, which hindsight 2020, he probably had to pay a good amount of money to get this. Therefore, he probably had to market it a lot to sell a lot of bottles to make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Just my take.
Absolutely. Which might lead to you getting a lot of buzz and winning a lot of awards.
Ooh, weird how that works. Money talks, bullshit walks. So Stapleton's role. So this wasn't just like a celebrity slap on the label, right? So Stapleton was actually very involved in this blending and tasting selection. So he describes his tasting style as like this gladiator style, thumbs up or down. And then it officially launched in 2024. It obviously racked up 15 awards, like we said, and it's become the most talked about premium whiskey releases of this year for sure, right? Again, I was involved in that, my bourbon group, everybody in the bourbon game. This was a top shelf, right? Like in terms of talking about this premium whiskey. So the whiskey is now a permanent part of the Buffalo Trace lineup. So very smooth sipping, kind of music meets the mash bourbon, and built for that kind of back porch, the bar, the band bus, you name it, country music. Yeah. Traveler whiskey, man.
Laid back country, kicking it. Bourbon's not trying to be too flashy, right? It's trying to be that kind of red Solo cup type vibe, maybe?
Exactly. It's the backstage, pass it from one person to another, that smooth sipping bourbon whiskey that everyone can enjoy. So
got you.
I think now is the time that we need to start breaking this down a little bit more, right?
Okay.
And for me, a lot of this, I'm shouting out to the reviewers, right? The people. Let's talk to the people, right? We're talking hype or hogwash.
Oh my goodness, let's get into hype or hogwash.
The reviews are in, folks.
Boom, roasted.
Okay, hype or hogwash. Reviewer number 1, bourbon soundtrack. This one came from Reddit. I expected marketing fluff, but this bottle actually sings. Sweet up front, spice on the back. Chris, you got taste. Hype. Hype it up, baby.
That's hype for sure.
That's hype.
Next reviewer, Amber Spirits Guy. So Amber said, vanilla, caramel, and a little citrus, ? It's like if Eagle Rare and Wild Turkey had a chill Sunday brunch.
Both solid pours, in my opinion. What do you think, Zika? I think that sounds like if you're going to put Eagle Rare and Wild Turkey and bring those to brunch, I feel like that's another compliment, right? That's not hogwash.
I mean, hey, if that's the brunch you're going to, that's the one I want the ticket to.
It's not like campfire, you know.
No, it's not a drain pour.
No,
not a drain pour by any means. I mean, we're talking ER and Wild Turkey, two of some of my favorite / premium brands that always hit the spot. So for me, yeah, that's hype, man.
Hype. Okay, so number 3, Spirited Gal, 87. This review comes from Total Wine. Smooth, sweet, and no burn. Ooh, I don't like the sound of that. No burn? You gotta have a little burn. This is a...
No meatballs, man.
Oh, we gotta have a spicy meatball. Smooth, sweet, and no burn. Finally, a celeb whiskey that won't leave your tongue regretting your wallet. I guess we're gonna see if that line holds true here in our next segment, which is let's crack this fucker open and find out.
Yeah,
shall
buddy.
we? Let's fuck around and find out, Zika.
I love what you say. Let's break it down.
It's tasting notes time. We always start with the nose, right, Zika?
The nose. Flavor breakdown time.
Stick the snodge in the glass and see what we got. Tons of sweetness, but not fruit.
I get a little bit of sweetness. I'm honestly not getting a ton on the nose from this. Again, it's a 90 proof, right? For a 90 proof, when I kind of drive my nose down the barrel of the glass here, I get a lot of like ethanol and a little bit of caramel.
Yeah, caramel's really the only thing I'm picking up. Well, let's see what the actual notes say. Sweet cream. we're up to it. That sounds like the fan base of this bourbon or this whiskey. The fan base of this whiskey would go straight to sweet cream over Chris Stapleton in this blend.
Total. Yeah.
What does that even smell like? Sweet cream on the nose? That's the first tasting note.
I just think of like ice cream, like homemade ice cream.
Okay, well, now I'm kind of getting it. Vanilla, right? That's probably what they mean. Sweet
Correct.
cream, vanilla, caramel drizzle. I got a lot of, that was the first thing I picked up was caramel. Toasted oak, not so much. Are you getting oak? I want to get oak. I'm just not getting it on the nose.
Maybe a little bit, but I like the vanilla and a little bit of caramel shines through, and then it's like a little bit of ethanol for me.
Yep. Let's throw this down the hatch and find out what we got, Zeke, all right? It's the moment of truth. Cheers up.
Cheers.
Man, the spice is more on the tongue. I get a little spice on the tongue, but not so much on the palate, right? Like so much with the Kentucky Chew, with the bourbons and the whiskeys we've covered so far, that spice like hits you right on the palate, like hard, right? But this one, it almost like caught my tongue a little bit and just like hung on for a little bit, but not long. But it does, something grabs your tongue there on the spice. I don't know what exactly I'm catching there.
That is weird.
It's not a baking spice.
No. It's almost like a peppery or clove spice. And it is weird. It is something that's very in your face right away, and it lingers for me. Not like a very long finish by any means. I think it's a short finish, very thin. But that spice, if you like a vanilla and like a pepper spice with a little bit of caramel, a little bit of oak, that's kind of what I'm getting on the palate.
It was on the chew though. The spice is almost gone on the next sip. I don't know what you think. Like I burned off my palate just a tad there on the first sip. It's only a 90 proof, but there's plenty of 90 proof bourbons that actually pack a little bit of a punch. And this one's not punching you with the spice, which for me is a little disappointing, right? Because I like my kick of spice in there. I don't want it to be all spice, but I do want that. I'm drinking a bourbon. I expect it to have a little punch to it.
Right. And I agree.
This is definitely smooth.
It is. I agree though with the that second and third sip, you definitely lose a lot of that spice. And to me, it goes from like vanilla to pepper, and then that short, thin finish. But it lingers a little bit on the sides of my tongue, but it seems very thin to me.
I'm surprised at the awards and the cult following. Honestly, it's not that much of a banger on the palate. It really isn't. A lot of times you're like, man, I'm getting like 3 or 4 different flavors. I'm trying to figure out what that is. Let me think about this, right? This one, it's not hitting you with those flavors. I totally understand what you're saying. Vanilla, right? Mm-hmm. It's that sweet cream we had on the nose.
Yeah.
That's definitely there. It's that sweetness that's not fruit.
Correct. I'm not getting any citrus on this.
Yeah.
Or any fruit. Man, I hate to shit on the parade, but it kind of reminds me of 2 specific whiskeys, Windsor and Black Velvet. If they had a baby and they called it Blue Velvet, this would be what it would be.
So you're not going to go with Eagle Rare and Wild Turkey?
I mean, that is asinine. I want to call this guy and have him on the pod and be like, dude, talk to me. What were you how much PCP did you take before uploading this post? Because I taste nothing.
I don't think a lot of
ER.
I don't think a lot of diehard bourbon people like yourself are going to be into this whiskey, right?
Right.
So it's possible that the following here are like a lot of Chris Stapleton fans, maybe people that aren't as into bourbon. Like if you're not like a big bourbon person, you put this thing on ice, like it's almost like drinking a coffee. It's really not going to be hot at all. You know what I mean? It's like drinking a nice smooth iced coffee.
Yeah.
It's not really packing much of a punch. In that regard, it is really easy to sip. It's smooth. I get that piece of it. The only thing that I'm stuck on is like all the awards.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair question. That's why there's people like us to review it, to give honest and open opinions.
Yeah.
Always subjective, of course, but in my opinion, 15 awards, when I look at all the bourbons we've covered, and I can't name one single bourbon that would be below this, whiskey on the list.
This is at or near the bottom. It is.
Absolutely.
Just for the shits and the giggles of it, the palate, vanilla forward with waves of cinnamon. The cinnamon is what I'm looking for. I'm just not getting it. I'm not getting cinnamon.
Right. It's not that rich cinnamon, a complex flavor. Again, I get like a pepper. It's like a half-ass cinnamon. That's
it's
like what pepper is to me. I'm not a big fan.
So vanilla forward with waves of cinnamon and orange zest. Maybe a hint of citrus on the nose, but not on the palate. I'm not getting citrus either. Soft mouthfeel. Yes.
Okay. Yep.
And a gentle Kentucky hug. The finish, medium length, I think is being a little generous. With a dry leather note, faint spice, and warm sugars lingering just long enough.
Right. I would look at this as pepper on the front with a little bit of honey. Pepper kind of finishes with it. Very thin, short, not very complex, not bold. Mediocre finish.
This is bordering on a drain pour for Zika. Is this a drain pour?
I'm not going to say it's not. And the only reason, and again, I have a lot of pent up negative juju versus Traveler right now, just because.
So now we're learning. The listeners are learning why you brought this down to the basement this week, though. You had something to say. You had something to get off your chest. Go.
I had a bias.
Don't hold back.
Right? I had a bias. Listen, the fact that I went out and paid over MSRP just to get it before it came to Minnesota, and then I got it, and I'm like, wow, this is Buffalo Trace. When you say Buffalo Trace, we're talking the Tom Brady's. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, don't say his name like that.
This is the shit. Like,
what's wrong with you? Wait.
But that's what I'm. Okay,
we have to re-record that.
Okay,
how dare you?
Stop. Okay. Okay, this is the JJ McCarthy. Okay. Honestly, that's a great analogy, JJ McCarthy, because it's something that just hit the shelf and it has all the hype, and you're hoping for that dynasty. You're hoping for that Super Bowl. And he gets injured, and then you realize, like, oh shit, it's not as good as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But there's hopefully, in the future, there'll be some better collaborations. I'm just disappointed in the Buffalo Trace lineup and how they kind of paid to play with this one. Maybe Julian Van Winkle was, had some short pockets and he had to fill them up. Great idea. I guess I can respect you for that fact, but outside of that,
cash grab.
That's what we should label this episode. Cash grab.
Because honestly, usually I pick up the bottle and I react to it, and this bottle is cool as shit. Like,
it is cool. Very
inside,
cool. Right. That's what I mean. Everything points north. It's great.
When you pick up the bottle, it's got this really normal label on it that kind of tells some details on it on the back. But when you look through the whiskey, through the bottle from front to back, there's like a map of Lexington, Kentucky back there.
Super cool.
And it just kind of appears in the bourbon, in the juice as you look through the bottle. That is really slick. That's almost like impress your guest kind of presentation.
Totally.
Right there. So I see what you mean, like the marketing, and I can see why this bottle would play really well on social media and in marketing in general, right? It's cool. Like the way they present it is cool. I just wish that the juice was kind of lived up to the hype, and I don't think it does personally. I think that's obviously where you are, Zika, right? The juice doesn't live up to the hype.
My answer is no.
Complete hogwash here.
I think it's hogwash. So looking at the mash bill here, Ryan, it's not officially disclosed.
Of course not. They're ashamed.
Never. Fair point.
Buffalo Trace like, fuck that.
Fair point. Well, to be fair, like none of their mash bills are disclosed.
Not sharing the recipes.
And honestly, this one could have been shared. Let's be honest.
Let's put it out there.
Yeah.
If you want to copycat it, go ahead.
Yeah, Julian, you could have shared this one. But anyway, so it's likely been exposed as a high rye and wheated bourbon from their Buffalo Trace portfolio, which is interesting because we talk about that spice that kind of lingers.
The lack thereof, though.
And there it is.
Yeah.
A little bit. You know what I mean? Like that.
There is a little, yeah. Maybe that's the only spice in it is from the high rye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And typically in the Buffalo Trace portfolio, it's heavy wheat, right? And that's why I feel like you get a lot more spice on this one. Again, this is a 90 proof, so you're not gonna taste that full body like, holy shit, that's a lot on the front end to the back. It's usually got that sweet floral, dark cherries, the fruit that go into a lot of the Weller bourbons. But this one with the high rye content, I kind of understand now. Like it's kind of molding, and I get it. And looking at the age statement, there is really no age statement, but it's assumed to be a blend of 4 to 8 year old bourbon barrels and rye barrels.
Sell 5 for the big dog.
E5. Are we adding drain pour? We have precious pour. Are we adding drain pour? I think I know where Zika's going with this one. Is this a Tuesday night teaser?
I won't be that mean.
The E5 scale is your daily dram. You're impressed, my guests. Again, this bottle with the map in the label, kind of impressive. And the Chris Stapleton thing, if you have any country music fans, could be an impress my guests.
Yes.
Anyway, daily dram, impress my guests, budget blend, Saturday night sipper, and precious pour, a.k.a. Zika.
The PJ Fleck.
Skyuma.
Row the boat, Skyuma, and go Gophers.
Let's eliminate precious pour and Saturday night sipper off the bat, Zika.
Go on.
Daily dram, price point, you said around 50?
40.
Yep. Okay, $40 MSRP, not bad. How allocated is this bourbon? Is this all over the place?
You can get it everywhere now.
Everywhere now?
Yep. That should tell you something.
What's your thought on daily dram? It's in that ballpark, right?
Again, it reminds me of Captain Morgan has that very vanilla forward, almost oaky a little bit, and it has a good little burn to it, but it is fairly smooth at the same time. I would say this is something that my old man would drink with a Coke.
Is it a budget blend then? Because a lot of times budget blend for us is a bourbon that you're going to put in a Manhattan, you're going to put in an old fashioned. So because you've said that a couple times now, right? Like this would be a good bourbon and a Coke. Does that make it a budget blend? Does it rise to that level for you? Because I know budget blend is not necessarily the lowest. It sounds like it would be budget blend. It sounds like it would be the lowest on the totem pole. But for Mike Zika, budget blend is not the lowest on the totem pole in the E5.
So for my budget blends, I'm thinking of like 5 to 10 other bottles that I would pick a budget blend over this one. Honestly, I don't want to go through all of these tonight and just rant about them. I'm not stuck between 2 or 3. I'm literally sticking to one, and it's going to be impress my guess.
Okay.
Chris Stapleton's story, I think that it's something that you can definitely talk about. Distillery's cool. It's got the background. It's got the look, the sheen look to it, and it's something that offers a cool story with a decent, smooth, easy sip without breaking the bank, and you kind of want to get rid of that bottle. That's who I'm going to. Impress my guest, final answer.
That makes perfect sense. I don't have much of an argument for you. Daily dram, I think if you have to be a bourbon enthusiast to want to drink a bourbon every day.
Right.
This just doesn't rise to that level. Bourbon enthusiasts aren't going to drink Traveler's whiskey. That's just, first of all, it's not even a bourbon.
Right.
Right. And second of all, it's fine. It's just not, it doesn't rise to that level of something you'd want to drink every single day. So yeah, daily dram is out. Impress my guest makes sense. The story with Chris Stapleton, a lot of people are going to know who he is. I don't listen to country music, so I don't know. I'm sure my wife knows exactly who Chris Stapleton is.
Same. Yep.
Again, like the marketing, the little map inside the juice is really cool in the bottle. For folks that don't know what I'm talking about, if next time you're in a bourbon aisle and you see Traveler whiskey, just blend number 40, just pick it up and look through the juice at the label in the back. It's pretty cool. I like that.
It's dope.
That's cool. That'll definitely impress your guests, your non-bourbon enthusiast guests. This is not going to impress your bourbon group people, but it will impress your everyday run-of-the-mill, I drink a bourbon here and there, maybe every other week type crowd. This one will knock their socks off, so you're going to impress them with this.
And then impress 15 different judges. So at the end of the day,
I cannot believe the awards. That's the one thing that I'm stuck on. Like, I understand the following. I understand the hype. I get it. Like, it makes sense. There's a certain kind of bourbon drinker that I think would flock to this bottle, and I think there's a lot of those people. So I understand the following. I don't understand the awards. That's the one thing that connection is where I'm struggling, because this bourbon just, quite frankly, does not have that much going on the palate. It just doesn't. And you want to call it a medium finish, that is being very generous. It's super thin.
Yeah.
It's super light, super smooth. It almost goes down like a cream soda. You know what I mean? It's like, that's kind of what it is. It doesn't go down like a bourbon, but it's not claiming to be a bourbon. So I got to be fair, right?
That is fair.
Yep.
So looking at a little teaser for next week. So we're going from harmony to heat, covering a bottle that brings the fire without burning a hole in your wallet. So stay tuned. This one's going to be a good one.
Not Dragon's Milk.
No.
But it brings the fire.
Brings the fire.
It's going to bring us a little more proof.
Not New Holland, but it will be a good one. I promise.
It's going to bring us a little bit more heat. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Bourbon Playbook as always. And Zika, Traveler Whiskey, man, brought about as much to the table as your Vikings did in that NFL draft.
Ooh, burn. We'll see how the Patriots finish this next year. In the meantime,
at least 4 wins.
4 wins. Yeah. Good luck, buddy. Harlan Wheatley, I have no words for you. I appreciate that you took the offering that Buffalo Trace gave you, and I'm glad you're a huge Chris Stapleton fanboy. But in the meantime, cheers.
Cheers. Mic drop. Drop the mic.